welcome to your baby club. I look out focus to me, that's because I was blind as about, oh my god, look, we're like Delbo, is that ketchup on the table? This is why you all love me, isn't it? Because I'm just like a tramp. So here I am, the honest midwife here at your baby club, trying to think what I've got to tell you about, other than the fact that I've just eaten 5 chicken satay sticks. There is 3 sticks of evidence. Now I did sort of think, Joe, I bet they're about 100 calories each, and then I thought, nah, is that a dog on my table? No, it's oh my god, it's like disgusting. And then I thought, no, I can't have just eaten 500 calories worth of chicken. So I reckon that they're not that bad. Anyway, apparently the lovely Laura, I'm talking about my satay sticks, they're just so easy, aren't they? I bet Jazzy's laughing at me now. And then I'll be whinging at her in the week, going, I'm so fat. Sorry, chicken satay sticks. So let's start asking some questions rather than me dribbling. You can't do hearts on Facebook. I've decided that's why I don't like it, because I don't know what everybody's thinking. Anyway, I'm 11 weeks pregnant. Congratulations. With my first, I have my scan in 2 weeks' time, but I'm so big already. I went from a size 10 to a size 14, and I'm just feeling very big. Am I doing anything wrong? Just my friends have had babies and they haven't shown for 18 weeks. So first question, are you eating chicken satay sticks at 5 at a time? Because if you are, that might be why. No, in answer to your question, you're not doing anything wrong, my lovely. Some people show earlier than others. It could be fluid. It could be 1,001 things. The only thing I would say is look at your diet, be honest with yourself. Are you eating for 2? If you are, you need to stop doing that. But honestly, it's probably just bloating, fluid and all that jazz. So I just wouldn't worry about it. If you're following a read, and I don't mean, let's all be very boring and live like a nun. But, as long as you're not eating bars of chocolates and packets of crisps and pies and mash every day, all day, then it's just how you're being pregnant. I'm 20 weeks pregnant with my 4th. Bless you. And I'm suffering with sciatica. I would have thought you'd be suffering with more than sciatica with 4 children. Well, 3 and 1 on the way. Well done. The pain is very, very bad. Some days today I'm not able to walk. I'm moving about as much as possible, but on bad days there's not much I can do. Has anyone experienced sciatica this bad? Any advice? I've been in tears most of the day. Oh, bless you with the pain. I've taken paracetamol, which I never take, but feel I had no choice. I also ordered a sport belt. So, first thing I would say is that don't worry about your paracetamol, as long as you're not allergic, which I'm assuming you're not. Take 2 paracetamol every 4 to 6 hours, because that's a good way to start getting on top of your pain. You might want to try some pregnancy yoga. Also, I know it's not pelvic girdle pain, but a lot of these things are caused by posture. So you might want to think about signing up for Michelle's pelvic girdle pain, because she's a specialist women's physio, and in that session you would be able to ask her for some postural things to help. Like you said, you've done the support belt. But maybe go back to your doctor and ask for a referral for physio if it's that bad, my lovely. Oh, I hate it when people have got such an awful time. My baby is 17 weeks old and isn't showing any interest in rolling over or sitting up. Okay, 17 weeks, I would not worry about that at all. What we're at, 4 months there. I honestly wouldn't worry. Babies do lots of things, Laura, at different stages. So honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think 17 weeks. 4.5 months, I'm not sure I would even be expecting them to certainly not sit up at that point, so I think you're good, don't worry. I've started perineal massage to hopefully stretch and prevent tearing, but I've read, should I be doing pelvic floor exercises too? Does one not counteract the other? One doesn't counteract the other, Holly, but people sort of get themselves in a twist about pelvic floor, and the pelvic floor muscles is not about, basically what you want to be able to do when you're in labour is actually disengage your pelvic floor. So a stronger pelvic floor in labour is, and your perineum is not necessarily, you're not going right down into the pelvic floor. So do keep on with your perineal massage, because it's beneficial. Your pelvic floor exercises, they're really good to do, but where they really start to be extremely important is after delivery. That's not to say you shouldn't do them now, but they are more important after delivery. I'm 29 weeks pregnant and I've been told that my baby's head is at the 1st percentile, but the body is the 50th. I'm beside myself with fear and anxiety and worry. They told me it could be genetics because I'm so small, but it might be microcephaly or something else, they aren't sure. I think there is very little I can say that's going to ease that anxiety, and I can imagine that you're envisaging all sorts of things, but and the only thing that's going to really help is someone saying, right, I'm assuming that they're going to bring you back for another scan to help you to determine what the issue is. But a lot of the time these things come back and they just say, actually, it's because, you know, you're tiny, your husband's a big fella, you know, or the other way around, or, you know, we just don't know. So until you're actually told by the sonographer, there's not much that we can do to reassure you, I'm afraid. But that doesn't mean to say I think it's the worst thing in the world. It's just how your baby is growing, and sometimes these things just cause us worry, and then at the end of the day we're like, what's all that about? So you're just going to have to hold firm, and hopefully you'll have a scan soon. I'm 40 weeks plus 1. For around the last week to 10 days, I've been feeling baby hiccups mostly every day, often a couple of times a day. I didn't think anything of it, but getting a bit worried that something might be wrong, and things that have been read online. Okay, so hiccups, it's quite an easy thing to sort of get yourself in a tiz about. What we need to remember with hiccups is that hiccups are normal, but they are not what we would class as movements. So the things that reassure us about baby's well-being are the movements. So separate the two. If all you're feeling is hiccups, then you would need to go and get checked out. If your baby is moving normally and you're getting your kicks and your moves and your wiggles and all that sort of stuff, and your baby's got hiccups, your baby's just got hiccups. And they do get hiccups a lot because they're practicing swallowing and they might have gulped a bit too quick, and, you know, it's all new, they're learning. So always sort of stop and think, right, forget the hiccups for now. Is my baby moving okay? If any time the answer to that question is no, then you need to get checked out. But hiccups twice a day, that's absolutely fine. Some babies have them 6 times a day, so you're good to relax. You can chill. I had my first scan and the sonographer said my womb is tilted, so couldn't get a clear view. They couldn't take measurements, but on my notes says technically difficult to scan due to maternal habitus. From what I've read, means due to fat on the stomach. Okay, anyone else have this? Do future scans get better? My BMI is high. Also, was it right to tell me I had a tilted womb when this is not the case? Unless I have, but she hasn't put this down in my notes. She may not necessarily have written it down in her notes. I think she's got to give you a reason as to why she's struggling to see. With your first scan, though, I would expect them to call you back and not leave you till your 20-week scan. So I think it's reasonable to go back and say, I'm just a bit concerned, my scan results seem to be inconclusive. What do they think? And they may look at it and think, actually, no, we did get all the measurements that we want, but we weren't able to get loads and loads of different pictures and that sort of thing. So it doesn't sound like there's anything majorly untoward, but I think you've just been left a little bit uncertain. So I would go back and ask for some clarification. I had my baby 5 months ago. I chose not to breastfeed, but my boobs are still leaking constantly. I've never had this with either of my other 2 children, and my milk supply seemed to dry up quickly with them. Should they still be leaking and slightly engorged? I didn't express or anything. Why do they still have a milk supply? Consider it. Do you know what I think I would do? I would go to the doctor and ask them they can prescribe you, although there's been a bit of a thing about people not being prescribed it. I think after 5 months, I would go and ask for some cabergoline. I think that's Carberline or something like that, cabergoline. And that is a medication to suppress milk supply. So I would go and ask for that. You don't need that at 5 months. I'm 7 weeks pregnant and really struggling to eat as I feel sick all the time, but not actually throwing up. My doctor told me it's normal and hasn't offered anything, but I'm really struggling to do anything to manage anything. I do manage to eat is like force feeding. I'm constantly tired and dizzy all the time and just generally feeling crappy. Please, can you help? 7 weeks, you've got a way to go, haven't you? I think I would go back and say, look, this is really debilitating. You know, I can't eat. I'm feeling lightheaded. I'm feeling dizzy. I really want something for the nausea. And they can prescribe something. So, you know, it can be really horrible going through this. And I would definitely go back and ask to prescribe something if you're finding it's that bad. I'm 21 weeks with my first and had my 20-week scan today. All seemed well, but the sonographer said that she was unable to take all the required measures as the baby was in an awkward position. She has requested that I go back in 2 weeks for another. I'm probably overthinking, but I'm just a bit worried. Honestly, don't overthink. Your baby was in an awkward position. That is the top and bottom of it. Sometimes they just get themselves in a right royal pickle and they're in an awkward position. So she's not trying to smooth. She's not seen. So I promise you, it's not that she sees anything. And God forbid if you go back in a fortnight and she says, actually, I've seen this. That isn't. It's not that she was holding anything back from you. Genuinely, I used to work out of a private scanning place, and the amount of times we sent people home because this baby was just in an awkward position. Because it was private, we often used to say to them, right, go for a walk for 20 minutes, then we'd give them tea, then we'd give them biscuits, then we'd go and, go and stand on your head, do this. But sometimes it was just like, this baby is not for moving, and so we'd have to call them back. So yeah, please don't worry, you're good. I'm 28 weeks pregnant and I've been suffering for months now with very itchy, cracked, weeping nipples. I've put on antibiotics. I've been putting on antibiotics for having a very severe infection in my right boob, as it swelled up so much. It was very painful. Thankfully, the infection seems to have gotten better, but the cracked nipples is really affecting me. I'm starting to worry it will interfere when I start to breastfeed. Any suggestions? What could you put on it? Are you using nipple creams? So I would start with a good quality nipple cream like Lancino. I think my expert midwife do one. So I would be really looking after a nipple cream. If they are leaking, I would put breast pads in there. So literally following all the advice that we would give to a mum who's breastfeeding that's got sore nipples. Try and spend some time with them out in the air, not literally down the street. So that's going to give you a whole lot of different problems. But yeah, just, when you've had a bath and stuff, make sure they're nice and dry and just let the air get to them. But yeah, a good quality nipple cream might help. Take a look at Louise's online antenatal classes here. Do that and sign up for your free one if you haven't already. This happened to me too. I went back and all was fine. My baby just wouldn't move and had his legs over his head. Bless him. Yeah, they do. They're little pickles. I'm 30 weeks plus 5 weeks pregnant and have had a growth scan. Baby is measuring fine for fetal length, but head circumference, but his abdomen is measuring 40 plus weeks. So I've been told I may have gestational diabetes, which is causing baby's stomach to be large. I'm being tested tomorrow. I was wondering if anyone has had this problem and what the outcome was. Will my baby be okay after birth? Already booked him for a C-section. I'm so worried. Okay, try not to worry, because it's good that we picked this up, that there's a possibility of it now. It doesn't necessarily mean that your baby will have that you will have diabetes, and it's you that has the diabetes, not your baby. The only thing that we look out for after birth is whether your baby regulates their blood sugars as they should do, and sometimes we just need to monitor them a bit longer until everything has sort of kicked in and got back to normal. So it's really difficult, but just try not to worry too much, honestly. Lisa Jane, can I just say thank you so much? You helped me so much through my lockdown pregnancy. And Daniel, he's now 3 months old. Oh my God. How is that possible? Well, you are welcome. It's my pleasure. I do love my job. What a lovely midwife. I've just come across this. I'm 53 and done with babies. Hey, I don't blame you. I'm 44 and I'm done with babies. Although my Sophie, she's just had a midwife. She's my person, my Sophie. And she's just had a baby and she's 300 miles away. And I am just like, oh my God, I desperately want to see this baby. I can't stop looking at her. She's delicious. Oh, who's this? Oh, this is my baby. My baby's just arrived. 18 next week after. All right.
Yeah.
Say hello to the people.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
You been a good boy today?
Yeah.
Yeah. He won't have been. He'll have been swearing like a trooper. Works on a building site. What can you say? Right. Have we got any more questions coming up? Because otherwise, I'll be tea. I'm trying to think what's happened with me this week. What's happened? Not a lot. Can't say as I've been anywhere. Can't say as I'm going anywhere. What are you going to do? I am fed up now. And I'm getting fatter and fatter. Apparently it's age. I bet Rhiannon's not getting fatter and fatter there. It's just me. That's it. So what else? So anybody who's got a baby, we've got our developmental baby new course starts next Thursday. So that's a good one. Do I have any tips for a newborn with laryngomalacia? Help me out. What is that? It's something to do with this here. I know that. Help me, Carly. Help me. Stop me looking like I'm completely incompetent. I'll do a post on it. Help me. I'm waiting for Carly to explain. So we've got that developmental baby massage class. Oh, here you go. Sarah, my placenta is encroaching over the cervix. What precautions should I take at 20 weeks, or should I continue as normal? Just continue as normal. There's absolutely nothing you can do, Sarah. I knew that one, Carly. I'll be back with you on that in a minute. My placenta is encroaching over my cervix. What precautions should I take at 20 weeks, or should I continue as normal? Just continue as normal, my lovely. So at 20 weeks, it's quite common that can happen. So if we think about that balloon, okay, and that's got your baby in, and your cervix is down here, and your placenta is here, what happens is that as the baby grows, so at the minute your womb is like this, and as your baby gets bigger, it grows like this, and so that placenta gets pulled away from the cervical outlet. So in the vast majority of cases, when we get you back at 32 weeks and scan you, it's moved. The most cases it's moved, so don't worry at all. The only thing I would say is if you do have any light spotting or anything like that, obviously get checked out, because sometimes if your placenta persistently is low, then you might have a little bit of bleeding, but I would just try not to worry. So, Carly, so the laryngeal thingamajig basically is that it's got a floppy, the windpipe here is floppy, and so it'll keep on. I don't know, as I do have huge tips for it. Obviously you want to try and feed slowly. Let baby feed slowly, which is not always easy, irrelevant of how they're feeding, but if you're breastfeeding, maybe do a slower flow. You could always take them to a cranial osteopath. I'm not sure whether they deal with stuff like that, but they're often really helpful with all sorts of stuff with babies. But again, it's got to be a paediatrician that's going to really help you and guide you on that. But I wouldn't have thought that there is very much that you can do. So yeah, a larynx is a congenital softening of the tissues of the larynx above the voice cords. This is the most common cause of noisy breathing in infancy. And the laryngeal structure is malformed and floppy, causing the tissues to fall over the airway opening. But yeah, I think it's a paediatrician that needs to advise you on that. Sarah Grove, where did we start with Sarah Grove? So your placenta, so you are also breathless. Fourth baby, is this normal? So I don't think the number of babies that you've got to do has anything to do with your breathlessness, apart from the fact that you're probably running after 3 other little children. So you're probably using lots of energy there. So I don't think it's something to do with your placenta. There's a couple of things with breathlessness though that we need to rule out. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that your oxygen saturation levels are okay. So I think if you're feeling a bit generally crappy, you should maybe get checked out by your midwife just to do your oxygen levels and all that sort of stuff, and maybe do a blood test to check your iron. Fourth baby, depending on how old your others and what bigger gap you've got, you could be a little bit anemic, and that can also cause breathlessness, because a low blood count, your red blood cells are what carry the oxygen around your body. So if you've not got as many red blood cells, you've not got as much oxygen. So I would get that checked. Cat's also breathless. We're all out of puff. I'm 31 weeks pregnant and really struggling to sleep due to hips hurting. I lay on my side with a pillow and do yoga, but it's really hurting. Is there anything else I can try? Victoria, I would sign up to our pelvic girdle pain workshop. The next one, I think, is on the 21st of March with Michelle. She's our specialist women's physio. She does these workshops once a month. They're really well attended and they get great feedback. And she's able to give you some different postural things, some stuff to do that can give you really quite quick relief with pelvic girdle pain and put your mind at rest about the birth and all that sort of stuff. So I would speak to our physiotherapist. And I know Laura's here. Laura, if you could put a link on there. It's under pregnancy classes. If you scroll about a third of the way down, there's a pelvic girdle workshop. If you could put the link up, that would be amazing. I'm also I still tell people about you. You made me laugh so much whilst also informing me. I do worry sometimes I will put people into labour. Our delivery went far from plan, but I trusted the professional, and after some time in NICU, Blake is home and perfect. Oh, they're all so cute. Me too. I found sleeping on a head pillow with my pregnancy pillow helps a little, and moving often. Yeah, I mean, I think doing a combination of good postural things and like Carly's pregnancy yoga, the amount of women that say to me actually what they found the most beneficial, because she does it on a Monday evening, is that they find that on Monday evenings they sleep much better, because they've done that stretching, they've really opened things out before they got into bed, and so they don't seize up quite as much. I should probably do it, because when I turn over in the middle of the night I can hardly move, it's that painful, so I should practice what I preach, really. And I wouldn't look out of place in a pregnancy yoga class, trust me. Nobody would be like, she's not pregnant. They'd be like, she's pregnant. She's not. Okie dokie. Right. Anybody else got any more questions? Okay, as you all know, I'm sure you all know right here, I've got to go now, but I'll definitely tune in again. Lovely to see you, Rhiannon. Best place to follow me, as you all know, is at The Honest Midwife on Instagram. That's where I reside most of the time. And if you haven't already, do sign up to your free antenatal class. I run them every Saturday morning and every Monday evening. I've got one of those long horseshoe shaped pillows, and it makes all the difference, although still up regularly for the toilet. I'm going to start a 3 in the morning club. I think we should all check in at 3 in the morning. No, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen, ladies. Right, I've got to go, and I'll be back on Instagram on Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'm a bit giddy again today. Don't know why. I'll see you all soon.